Hi everyone, and welcome to our weekly youth group update. You are invited to join us every Monday for snow cones and scripture at Wimberley Shaved Ice at 12:30. This is a Bible study for all ages, so we really hope that you'll join us for some snow cones and some Jesus. Here's what we talked about this week. Let's check it out. Oh, sorry, I was distracted on TikTok. Life is full of distractions. Have you guys ever realized that? We need to study, but we get distracted by a TV show. We need to practice for dance or sports, but we get distracted by a video game. We need to focus on cleaning up our rooms, but we end up distracted with our cell phones looking at Instagram for hours on end. I'm sure all sorts of moments come to mind when you need to focus but keep getting distracted. But have you ever thought about focusing and being distracted when it comes to following Jesus? It's an interesting thought. How do you focus on following Jesus? And if you can, what sorts of things might distract you? Well, this summer, as we're thinking about confidence and pressing play on our relationship with Jesus, these are important questions for us to consider. Thankfully, we have some moments recorded for us in the Bible that can help us out. Let's check out a particular moment from the New Testament of our Bible in the section of the books that we call the Gospels. The Gospels were written by 4 guys who wanted to make sure that people knew the story of Jesus, about his life, ministry, death, and resurrection. Now, as many of you know, Jesus called several people to be his close followers. We call these followers disciples. A disciple is someone who follows the teacher and wants to know what they know and live like they live. They want to be like them. And although there were many people who followed Jesus, he chose 12 close disciples who followed him everywhere he went. The disciples, they ended up in some pretty amazing situations. At the start of our story today, Jesus and the disciples had just heard some pretty terrible news. John the Baptizer, Jesus' cousin and friend, had been killed by King Herod. Jesus, he went off to be alone, but that didn't last long. Thousands of people showed up wanting to hear Jesus teach. Feeling compassion for those people, Jesus healed those who were sick and miraculously fed the crowds bread and fish when they got hungry. After that, Jesus, once again, he tried to get alone time. He sent his disciples in a boat ahead of him. Let's head to Bible story time with Kellen.
Jesus' disciple Matthew wrote about a time when Jesus told his disciples to go out in a boat on the Sea of Galilee. One of the disciples in the boat was Peter.
All right, Peter. Jesus wants us to go. Let's get in the boat.
Okay. Catch you later, Jesus.
You first.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Bye.
Here we go.
After they left, Jesus went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, the boat was already a long way from land. The boat was being pounded by the waves because the wind was blowing against it.
These waves are huge.
How are we ever going to make it through the night?
And then, shortly before dawn, they saw something on the water.
A ghost!
Oh! But it wasn't a ghost. It was Jesus walking on the water. He called out to them and said, "Be brave, it is I. Don't be afraid."
Lord, if it is you, tell me to come out onto the water with you.
Come.
Hold on. Ah, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, wow! This is amazing! I'm walking on the water!
But when Peter saw the wind, he was afraid. He began to sink.
Lord, save me!
Right away, Jesus reached out his hand and grabbed Peter.
Help me!
Jesus said to him, "Your faith is so small. Why did you doubt me?" When they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those in the boat worshiped Jesus.
Jesus, you truly are the Son of God.
The end.
You know what's interesting? Sometimes we hear the story and we start to think negatively of Peter. We might even think we could do better. But think about this. Peter must have been so focused on Jesus to be willing to step out of that boat in the first place. I don't think there are a lot of people who would have done what Peter did. I mean, of the 12 disciples, he was the only one we see out there. Peter only began to struggle when he lost sight of Jesus and focused on the challenges around him. Now, we probably aren't stepping out of any boats, but we are still trying to follow Jesus. And following Jesus, that can be hard at times. This week, I want you to think about this question. What distracts you from focusing on Jesus? We are always surrounded by challenges and distractions. Our family might have trouble getting along, or maybe somebody that we love gets sick, or something doesn't go the way we expected it to. These are real situations that can take our focus away from Jesus. And when we focus on them, we feel like we're starting to sink. But remember, Jesus is there, waiting with open arms. And like the disciples acknowledged when he got back in the boat, Jesus really is the Son of God. Jesus can be trusted no matter what.